Google's new Nano Banana image tool is ridiculously good. I'm telling you, this is by far the most powerful AI image program that's been created to date. If you do any work at all in graphics, you have to learn this tool. It is like having an AI-powered version of Photoshop, and I'm not kidding, that is no exaggeration. Unlike previous AI image tools, you can tell it to remove objects, you can tell it to change styles, and it's gonna keep the rest of the image perfectly intact. And that opens the door for all kinds of crazy image and video work that you could never do before. I've been using it nonstop since it was released, and today I'm gonna share with you 153 different prompts and Nano Banana tools that you can use to create valuable images of your own. I'm gonna run through them rapid fire because I know that that's a lot. But to start, I'm also gonna show you my 10 favorite ones that came out of that whole big package. When you decide to try this for yourself, and you will, just look to the links down below. The link to Gemini is gonna give you a chance to try about 20 different images per day for free. You can upgrade to a few more with their plan, or my favorite option is to use OpenArt AI. Now this gives you access to a bunch of different image generators and video generators all underneath one roof. If you wanna give that a try, I have my affiliate link down in the description. You can join for like $7 a month. Okay, at number 10, we got a picture from an Indiana University game that my son and I went to. That's us standing outside of Assembly Hall. I told it to take it back and make it a 1970s style image. It did an amazing job. It not only colored the photos, changed our clothing, it changed the cars in the background. Everything to have that 70s style and feel like I got the bell-bottom jeans on. I mean, it got every detail in that picture right. At number 9, we've got this Lego one here. Now this may seem like a simple image, but I asked it to take those sale tags off and it removed them. Now look at what it did behind them. It finished the Lego City logo. It put in the little Lego logo in the corner. It finished the images on the box. I don't know if it used other images that it's pulled in from its database of seeing all these images out on the web. I don't know how it was able to piece that together, but it literally pieced together what should have been on the box behind that price tag and put it in there in the image seamlessly. So it looks like that price tag was never there. At number 8, I've got this one, which was a fun one. In fact, that's not the original outfit. I'll show you in the video. I changed my outfit into that, but I had it make a little Looney Tunes style cartoon, and I thought it did a fantastic job putting me out there chasing after the Roadrunner out in the desert. The cartoon work, the facial copy, it really looks a lot like me turned into a Looney Tunes cartoon. I will say it's a little odd. The Roadrunner does have a third leg there in the back if you take a look. So once again, not perfect, but wow, really, really good. At number 7, this is one from a trip back to Cincinnati where my daughter and I went to our Build-A-Bear workshop. That's my daughter, Sosie. You'll see her through a lot of these pictures. I use a lot of pictures of my kids because, well, I don't really take a lot of pictures of myself. So the pictures that I have tend to be ones of them. But anyway, we decided, I took that picture of Build-A-Bear and I said, give me it as a panoramic view. Imagine and expand the outside. So you can see the stuff beyond the borders of that initial picture were not there. That's completely generated by AI. And you can see it put a display in there with the bears. It put people in the background. It literally must have gone and taken other images of Build-A-Bear workshops that it's seen before and stitched it together, because that looks, you would swear that that's a full picture of a Build-A-Bear, but really those right and left edges, that is completely AI generated. It was made up by Nano Banana. Crazy. For number 6 here, we've got a really cute picture from my daughter where she's hanging out with her little Care Bear, and I had it turn her into a Toy Story character and put her in the desert. Amazing. It got her shorts right, it got her shirt right, it got her little purple Care Bear in her arms, and I'm blown away by how much that 3D image really looks like a 3D image of my daughter. The haircut, the everything. So impressive how it can take a picture and make such a realistic life 3D model from it. At number 5, we got another one from my daughter. This is from our trip to Kings Island, and that's her hanging out with Woodstock there on one of the benches. They have a little metal Woodstock on the bench, and I told it to turn it into a Disney style animated, and boom, it pulls the metal one off. It creates this little animated style yellow bird. Really cool. You can take part of an image and leave the rest of it alone and animate just a section of the image, which opens the door for all kinds of cool and creative and unique images and videos that you can create from this. At number 4, we've got the internet's darling there, Miss Sydney, and I took a picture of an old logo. It's not even used for anything, so this is not promotional. This is just for informational purposes. But anyway, I asked it to take that image of the logo and stick it on her shirt. And look what it did. Removed the text on her shirt. It got the proportions, the angles, the curves, everything right. So it really looks like she is wearing that shirt. And this opens the door for all kinds of product placement and opportunities. I'm not saying you can put it on celebrities' faces, because obviously there's laws against that, but you can go out there and have your own model and sit there and change the logo and change the shirts and change the different things all digitally without having to have them recreate these scenes and without having to take more photos and things like that. At number 3, this is from that same trip to Cincinnati. We were doing a little climbing gym exercise there. My daughter's going up the wall, and I asked it to make her on the outside of a building climbing up high, and that's what it gave me. Now, I am blown away by this one. Notice on the glass behind her how perfectly it recreated the reflection of her with the city. It's got the reflection of the city. You can see it with the lighting and the shadows in the background. It's got the reflection of her on the glass. To make this in Photoshop would take an unbelievably good Photoshop expert, and it would take them, I don't even know how many hours to create this, and I created this in like 7 seconds with AI. It's ridiculous how it can get the mirroring and the reflection and the shadows and the glass and the clouds and you can literally see the cloud up there and where it's reflected right next to her on the building. It's unreal. Number 2, this was one that turned out just really fun. I was trying to goof around, see what we could do. My son at this event was working on balancing cards and making card towers out of Uno cards, and I told it to make them out of pancakes instead. And that's what it gave me. It literally gave me the triangles, the stack. You can see a little blueberry sitting there in one of those top areas. Unbelievable how well it did. So you can have some really, really fun pictures and do some fun things like that. And you show that to almost anybody, they're not gonna realize that that's AI. That does not look like AI. That looks like real pancakes stacked making towers. And then at number 1 is this picture. Now, I know some of you may look at that and be like, doesn't seem like that special in image generation. Why is this your number 1 picture of them all? Well, that picture of my daughter on the left is one of my favorite pictures in the whole world. It's a picture I have sitting on my file cabinet right next to my desk in my office. I've always kept a picture of that on my phone. I don't know what it is about that one, just the way her little puffy cheeks look, her smile. I have always absolutely adored that picture. And I asked it to give me a different image of it looking down the slide. And it nailed it. I cannot believe how good it got the expression. It turned her head, it lined her up, it's got her little arms there. You would swear that that was the original picture. And to me, that is really, really cool, that it can take an old memory of that and recreate it for me and do such a good job that if you showed me that and I didn't know that it was AI, I would swear that I was like, where'd you get another picture from this angle? I didn't know it even existed. You know, I think that it was a real picture because it's able to do that good of a job. So that is my number 1 favorite picture out of this. Okay. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and start in now. We're gonna go over the entire 153. I'm gonna go over them as fast as I can, much quicker than I did these because I know that it's a lot. I'm gonna show you all the prompts that go with them, the original photos that were put in, what photos came out of it. So if you're interested in any of this, please do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a really cool video coming up. You can take the work that I'm doing in Nano Banana and turn it into some unbelievably cool videos. AI video is coming a long way, and with the combination of Nano Banana and some of the newer AI video models, the things you can do will blow your mind. I'm working on that video now. It's gonna be coming out soon. So please subscribe if you wanna check that one out because it's gonna be a really neat one that anybody who works in video, you're gonna be able to create unique graphics to use in your videos. You're gonna be able to create clips that you couldn't use before. As this goes on, you'll probably see some little bits and pieces of it that I'll kind of tease in there where I take some of these pictures and bring them to life and show you the cool things that you can do with it. But anyway, yeah, follow the channel if you want to see that one coming up. Okay, so the first section that I'm doing here, what I call portrait fixes and transformations. Remove everyone except the boy in the yellow shirt. You can see that it does a pretty good job there. It removes most of the people in the background. Does leave a few in there. So I took that image, stuck it in again, Second one, I gave it this prompt and I said, remove everyone in the background, leave only the boy in the yellow shirt. Now you can see it took everyone out of the background. There is a little bit of blurriness there. It's not perfect, but did a pretty good job. This one I asked you to change the camera angle so you're looking at her from the back. Now this is one thing I've noticed always with Nano Banana. It has a lot of trouble imagining what the scene would look like in the other direction. You can see that it turned her so you could see her back. It turned the person, but it kept the background, it kept the perspective the same. Changing perspectives in Nano Banana is a little bit trickier. Ask it to look at her from the side. Once again, turned her, great job. Looks just like my daughter if you imagine her standing there holding that same piece of art from the side, but it did not change the perspective of the camera. Okay, now I took this one. This is a selfie that I took when I was at the Hoover Dam. I asked it to make a professional headshot. Cleaned me up, made my hair look all nice, put me in a nice suit. When I asked it to make a full body version of it, it did the same thing, standing up tall, nice shoes, good looking background, really cleaned up well. This is outside Vegas when we were hanging out at some supercars and it said, make me look angry. I don't know why I'd be angry hanging out with supercars, but I look angry. And then in this one, make me look shocked, and I look shocked. It does a great job with the details. Notice the little creases in my eyebrows, the way the folds work on my mouth. It really gets the details. Okay, this one was a good looking picture, but I think that helmet looks idiotic on me. So I said, please remove the helmet from my head. Now, I will say, gave me a little extra forehead there. I mean, it really made me look, Peyton Manning a little bit, a little taller forehead than I actually have in real life, thankfully. But then I tried it, instead of just taking that helmet off, I said, give me a cowboy hat instead. And that one I love. I think it did a great job putting me in a cowboy hat. This one I asked it to take a picture from Halloween of my daughter and add some green makeup to upgrade her witch. Great job. Also added a little bit of black lipstick to make it even more so. So it really gave her that style and that look of making her look like a witch. Next up, I asked to smooth out my skin and remove any blemishes. And I think it did a really good job. You can see my forehead looks smoother, the skin around my cheeks looks smoother. I'm sure there are lots and lots of influencers. I'm personally not a very vain person, so I could care less about my blemishes. I'm 47. But if you're one of those people who's really particular and you want all your pictures to look perfect, no longer do you have to worry about putting on makeup or going in and cleaning up with Photoshop. You can just stick it here into Nano Banana, and in seconds it's gonna clean up your skin. Then here, I took a fun photo from when we were out in the waterfalls in Hana. I said de-age the photo so that I look like a baby, and it really went all the way. I mean, it tried to keep the same clothes on me, it kept the same glasses, obviously took away the facial hair, but it made a baby version of me standing there. Then I went the opposite direction. I told it to age it and make it look like I'm an old man, and I got that one. It grayed out all my beard. It took away a little bit of my hairline, but left me in the same clothes, standing there in the same pose, hanging out in Hana, and really did a good job of aging my face and seeing what I'm gonna look like down the road. Next up, I went through a whole sequence of these where I decided to take this picture from outside Assembly Hall and say, make it look like it's the 1940s. Not only did it actually removed Assembly Hall, but it changed out some of the cars. It didn't change out some other ones. You'll see the pickup truck in the background, it missed, so not perfect. This one I thought from the 50s was a little better, really put a nice 50s jacket, seemed to have nailed all the 50s style cars and put them all around it. When we went on to the 1960s, once again, not so good. You can see the picture over the right there, that white car, that's definitely like a newer Tesla, so that doesn't fit in there. 70s, I thought it nailed it. The coloration, the jacket, the jeans, all the different cars in the background, everything there looks 1970s to me. We go on to the 80s. It's a great 80s style jacket. I like the way it updated my son's jacket as well. It's got the station wagon in the background. Did a pretty good job with the 1980s. And then the 1990s, I zip it up. I got the stuff on there. But once again, you get the Tesla over the background. So some of them were better than others, but overall, I thought it was impressive just how much it knew about each decade. It was not only able to change the clothing, change the cars, change the coloration, really got a good feel for what each decade means and what a photo from each decade would look like. Next up, we're gonna do some outfits and some hairstyles. Use the image of me and add that cowboy outfit in. And instead it kind of blended them together, which I thought was really cool. It put the, some of the embellishments from the cowboy thing and the hat on me, but I wanted an actual look of me wearing the outfit. So then I said, use the provided image, show him wearing the cowboy outfit from the second photo. Now that time it missed the hat, but it did get me in that shirt. And notice how good it does it. It twists the shirt, it conforms it around my body, it fits it to the pose that I'm in that image, which is really impressive. Doing something like that without AI, with Photoshop, would be insanely hard. Next up, I asked it to take this picture of my daughter and put her in a dress from the 1920s, and we got a little flapper there with her little headband, her cute little dress. When I said to make it futuristic from 2050, I got this funky little costume looking thing, all silver with her little, visor on. This one I decided to have my son dressed like a Spider-Man from an old one, and I was interesting. I put this in because it did give me the copyright violation. It seems to have some issues sometimes with particular copyrights. Sometimes it doesn't seem to care. I don't know what the reasoning is for it. I think it's the development of the AI. But one of the quick ways you can get around it, and what I did here, was instead to just say, hey, take the kid from the first image and put him in the costume from the second image. I didn't mention Spider-Man by name, but you can tell it put a little kid's puffy Spider-Man costume right on my son, kept the stick, kept the pose, kept the face, kept everything the same, just stuck him in that image. Next up, I asked it to remove my beard and give me long hair, and it did half of it. It did a great job adding long hair. That actually is very similar to what my hair used to look like when I had long hair, but it left all of my facial hair on there. It does seem to have trimmed it down a little bit. So I went back and I took that second image and I said again, remove my facial hair, and now it pulled all of the facial hair off. It left the long hair there. Pretty good. It kind of did the cleanup thing we were talking about earlier with my skin, made it look all smooth, made me look a little bit younger in that picture. All right, then I said to give it the person in the first photo, the hairstyle is the second photo, and it got a little weird on this one. You can see it kept my basic hair and then added that to the outside. So I sort of had the old hair and the new hair at the same time, and that wasn't really what I was looking for. So instead of doing that, I decided to go back and try giving it specific direction. I said, give me long, spiky hair shooting out 8 inches in every direction. Didn't quite get it, got closer, it kind of got some wild hair sticking out in every direction, but that's not the big spiky things that I was looking for from that, first punk rock photo. This time I said, give me long punk rock hair with big 8-inch spikes poking out in every direction. Closer. Definitely closer. It looks like my hair is being pulled out in every direction. Doesn't have the hairspray. If I kept playing with it, if I kept updating my prompt, I probably could have gotten it to give me what I wanted. But instead I moved on and decided to have some fun with my daughter's hair. So now I said, give this girl some wild futuristic hair. And it definitely added it, but you can see underneath it is her original hair. So it looks kind of odd. You can still see her long hair hanging over her shoulders. And I changed it and I said, replace her hair with some wild, futuristic, colorful hair. Now it did better. It pulled off the hair that was hanging around her neck. You can still see a little bit on the top, but instead of adding to it, it replaced it. So sometimes when you're working with these prompts, you got to think through those words and make those subtle changes, because the language model in this is really good. And if you give it the right words and you give it the right prompts, it will understand it and it will make the corrections. All right, now we're going to move on to the third section, which is characters and cartoons. I'm going to make some different images from it. I'm going to change things around and build characters and put them across multiple scenes. Okay, now this one I just did without any pictures. I said, imagine a 3D Toy Story style character that is a dolphin, and it came up with this, which I think looks great. It's great funny, it gave it the cowboy belt and almost the Woody character a little bit to it, but you can see the little wheels there that it rolls on, all the little screws, the details. Pretty amazing for it to have imagined that. But one of the great things with it now is that I can take that image and I can imagine something new with it. I can say, show this dolphin riding a motorcycle. And you can see it keeps that character. It keeps those screw placements. It keeps all the little details and puts it riding a motorcycle. Then I can say, show the dolphin working in the office, and there it is, sitting in a chair. Same dolphin. This has never been possible before with image editors. Now it can literally keep that same character, reproduce it in different environments. And this opens the door for some amazing things. I'm gonna show you guys some video tricks that you can do with this that are gonna blow your mind. It's coming up in the next video. In fact, when I have it done, there'll be a little button or a link up there. Next I said, show the dolphin working in office and typing on the keyboard. And there we go. Now he's pulled in on his chair. He's got little graphs there. He's hard working away. You can see it put kids in the background and pictures and the skyscrapers and all the little details, all the shadows underneath of him, everything. It really gets everything about this. You can even see the shadow from his cowboy hat and his forehead. Doing this and creating this yourself incredibly difficult. Nano Banana, seconds. Okay, this is from our trip to Banff, Canada, and I said, make this kid, he's my son Hanu, I said, make him a 3D animated Toy Story style character. And there we go. I mean, it's a little bit of a weird looking facial expression, the eyes are a little buggy, but he does have that smooth 3D Toy Story style on him. So I had some fun. And I said, okay, now imagine him as a Toy Story style action figure, because I wanted to sort of pull him more out of the environment. And that changed him even more. Now he really looks like an action figure character. He's got really high eyebrows. He's got the really big Disney eyes. And then I took that action figure and I said, place that action figure running down a busy street. Now we're really getting somewhere. Now we've taken him, we've turned him into an action figure, we've put him in a scene. You can see, look below his feet as he's running, the way the shadows are there, the way the details are there. Like, that is an unbelievably detailed picture, and Nano Banana makes it in seconds. All right, I took that old picture then of me from the cowboy outfit and I said, make it a South Park style cartoon. Of course, nails that, it knows that image, it knows that style. Then I said, make it a Looney Tunes character, and here we go. It even added the hammer, it added the dynamite, it gave it the yippee, the wild, angry look to my eyes, but it kept my overall image, my overall facial style, my clothing, all of that stuff consistent. Next, I said, make me a Pokemon style cartoon, a little more of that anime style, but you can see it kept the window, it kept the file cabinet, it kept the computer, all the pipes. Like, this is just a picture from my garage, and now I've turned it suddenly into a Pokemon cartoon. And if I wanted to, I can take it into the video models, and I can start from this character, and I can suddenly create an entire animated series around this Pokemon character that I have just created. And to show you how you drop it into environments, I said, put this man chasing in the desert, chasing a roadrunner, and there I am, running after the roadrunner. I got the yippee, like I said from the beginning, three-legged roadrunner, a little bit of a mistake. I could have gone in, I could have in-painted it, I could have removed that, I could have tried to regenerate. Next, I wanted to do some half human, half animal ideas. So I said, make me a half human, half wolf. Didn't really like what I got. You can see it just basically stuck a wolf's head and some wolf's body right onto me, but I wanted like a blend of the two. So I tried, make me look like I have half human and half wolf genetics. And I don't know what it really did here. It kind of stuck the wolf over me. You can see part of my face sticking out, my hair at the top. One was kind of a mess, didn't like it. So sometimes when I get stuck on these, I go to ChatGPT and I ask ChatGPT to help me. I tell it what I'm having a problem with. I stick the photo into ChatGPT and I say, help me come up with a better prompt. And you can see it said I need to tell Nano Banana to keep my likeness, to clearly show the blend of human and wolf traits, to specify the transition effects, not a hand split, but merging. And it gave me a few different prompts. And I took one of those prompts and I tried it, and it's a long prompt, obviously. Make me reimagine as this hybrid creature, cinematic, keep the fur, the eyes, the glow. And you can see much closer to what I was looking for. I think the hair is still a little weird. The hand looks good. The face fur coming up looks good. The eyes look good. But once again, much, much closer to what I was looking for, that true blend of the two. All right, so now I went back and I decided to do a little more expansion on my Looney Tunes character. I said, make a 3-panel comic strip with the guy getting on a rocket, chasing after a roadrunner, an anvil falling on his head. And you can see that it put it together. It put some little speech bubbles in there. It's a little odd. It's got 2 of them in the first panel. It's, you know, the story doesn't fit together. But once again, one quick prompt. Now I have a 3-panel comic and it put together all those details. It even knew to give the roadrunner a little meep, but it obviously recognized what I was going after. Then I took a doodle picture, one of the doodles from one of my kids, and I said, refine it into an artistic character, and you can see now it polished it and made it professional and gave it all the little details. I love the way that it added swirls and shapes to the patterns on the giraffe. It's really a neat looking giraffe. You can do a lot of different things with this. I also then said, make a 2-panel comic strip of that character visiting the zoo, and it kept it the same now. You can see it flipped the giraffe around the other way. It raised its little paw up in the first one. It's kind of odd because it's got 4 down below and 1 above. Once again, simple flaws that you're gonna find in AI, but it made a comic out of that character, which is really cool and fun. Next up, I said create a toy box style figurines out of this dog. This was a dog that we borrowed from the Humane Society just to take out and take for a walk one day. There's my daughter sad because we're returning the dog. But anyway, it really got the details right. It created figurines. Notice it created figurines. I had a plural in there, and it was smart enough to know that. It made 3 figurines in different positions, but of that same dog. See, it's got the same collar. The wording on the collar is copied. The details of the white on the dog's face are copied. It really keeps everything in alignment, but recreates it. Now we're moving on to the next section, which is our object swaps. This is where you can replace objects that you have in a picture with something else if you want to be holding a different object in your hand other than what you have. This is one from when we were out in the woods hiking, and I just said to replace that dog with a white tiger, and boom, there we go. Now my son is walking a white tiger in the woods. Crazy. All right, this is one of my favorites again. You saw this in the beginning, but I said replace this tower of cards with a tower of pancakes. First time I got this, which is cute and it's funny, but obviously it was not what I was looking for. I wanted it to be like the card stack, but like a tower. So I had to go back, give it a little more detailed prompt. The next time I said replace each of the cards with a pancake. Put them in the same position as the cards, forming triangles and levels. And this time it nailed it. It took away the cards, it added the pancakes, the little blueberries on the details, a little bit of maple syrup dripping down. It really looks like my son had spent his day stacking pancakes. Next, here's a picture of my daughter when we had a little baby chicken. She's holding the baby chick, but I said replace the baby chicken with a lifelike roaring baby dinosaur. And there you go. It looks like my daughter is holding a baby dinosaur. You can see his little claw, its raptor claw kicking out. You can see its tail tucked out the back. I will say the focus, it doesn't quite have that yet. The dinosaur obviously looks very sharp. My daughter, the picture was not as clear, so it hasn't quite perfectly balanced that, but pretty good overall. Here was another one of my favorites. I mentioned this at the beginning, the climbing wall to it. Once again, I'm just blown away by this, the ability to create those reflections. That is so hard to do. This one, I took a picture of my son playing basketball and said, replace the basketball with a watermelon, and there we go. Big green watermelon shooting up at the basket. And then this one, she was hanging out, playing with some pom-poms in the store. I said, replace those pom-poms with piles of droopy spaghetti. And there we go. Green spaghetti, white spaghetti hanging down. It's got the droopiness. It really looks like I've put some spaghetti in her hands. Replace the plate of food with a miniature city model. It decided to keep the excavator toy and replace the rest. Now we've got this little city model around there, and it's created all of those little mini skyscrapers for us. Now we're moving on to object removals and cleaning things up. So this one, I want to remove the table from the background, and you can see it does a perfect job. Pulls that table right out of the background. Then I decided I wanted to add the logo. This is a company called Art Lab, and I'm thinking, well, that's a cute picture. What if they wanted to use this in social media? So I said, add the logo from the second picture onto the wall and make it big. And you can see it got weird there. It tried to reproduce it. Here's what happened. You see the second picture. Generally with Nano Banana, it's going to force you to use the aspect ratio of the second picture. So you can see it's a big wide screen rectangle, and it tried to recreate the whole image into that shape. Now, if you're using OpenArt, you can actually tell it, I want it to be 9:16, I want it to be square, I want it to be landscape, whatever different format or aspect ratio you want, you can force the picture into that. But otherwise, when you're making it, it's gonna go with that second aspect ratio. So in order to fix this, I made the logo the same aspect ratio as the original picture. And here we go. I said add the logo from the second picture behind the girl, and this is what I got. You can see it put a little logo up there. It didn't really get the perspective right. It definitely wasn't what I was looking for. So I went back and tried again. This time I gave it the longer prompt. I said make an exact copy of the first picture, but put it from the logo from the second picture on the wall behind her. Use the right perspective so it looks like it's on the wall. Make the logo big. And that time it nailed it. You can see it's turned the logo so it's got that perspective feel like it's on there. It's sitting right behind her. That is a great picture that you could use if you were Art Lab and you wanted to take a picture of some kid painting. Now you can pull the desk out of the background, you can put your logo on the wall behind it, all in a couple clicks. Suddenly you have a great social media picture that's got your branding in it. Next up, remove all these messy Legos from the floor. And you can see, one click, they're removed. I wish in life it was this easy, one click and they actually were removed, but AI did a great job of pulling them out of there. Remove the yellow barricades, gone. Everything looks perfect, cleaned up the image. Don't have that messiness in the background anymore. It looks much nicer. Remove the palm trees from the background. Not sure why you'd want to do this. I actually think the palm trees look better, but instantly pulls it out. It's got the clouds there in the sky. Everything looks the same, but no palm tree. Remove the sale tags hanging from the shelves. Like I said at the beginning, this one blows me away. The fact that it kept that Lego City logo and finished it there, it sees the Y behind this one tag and it puts the city in the Lego box. The fact that it adds a little Lego logo in the top right-hand corner there, impressive. It's even got the little, warning and stuff on top of the box, and all that is imagined from AI. Remove the swing so it looks like she's flying, and instantly, no swing. It looks like my daughter's flying through the air with nothing there. Next up, we're gonna look at ways to recolor and adjust the style of photos. Change the car from red to blue. Boom, instantly. Everything behind them stays the same. All the colors stay the same. They stay the same. Their shoes stay the same. But the car is now blue. Change the walls to yellow. You could change them to blue. You could change them to green. You can change them to any color you want. You just tell AI, it goes in, it changes it. You can imagine it. You can look at it. You can decide what color you like long before you ever spend any time painting a room. Make his gi neon pink. If I wanted to see if I'm thinking, should I buy a blue gi or a pink gi or a white gi? I can take the picture of my son. I can swap him out into different colors of gis, and I can see which one looks best and make a decision on that before I ever have to buy or even try things on. Give her pink and purple hair. It's an old picture of one of my nieces when she was out visiting, and she actually had that hair later on in life, so I gave it to her as a kid, and it looks great. It kept her nice fluffy curly hair there, but it gave it a hint of pink and shaded it on there really well, keeping the rest of the picture perfect. Change the sky to a pink and purple vibrant sunset. Beautiful. Added it in there, gave it the nice images, made the reflections on the water of the colors, all those details. Once again, that's really, really hard to do in Photoshop, but it kept it all the same, and it really kind of even changed the tone of her skins to what would she look like if those colors were reflecting on her? What would that tile look like if those pinks were reflecting on it? And it gave the whole image that feel. Add a neon cyberpunk glow to the picture, and it did. It added those little lines around it. I kind of wanted something more dramatic, but I decided to try and amp it up a little bit and said, give the entire picture an intense, dramatic neon punk glow, lots of bright outlines and effects. And honestly, I wasn't too impressed. It didn't really do what I wanted. Yes, it kind of got the ballpark, but no matter what, I tried a bunch of prompts, I could just never get it to really give the kick and the style and the intensity I was looking for. So I don't know, maybe I just didn't like that picture. Sometimes it doesn't like a picture and you just can't get it to work. Okay, then this one I showed you before already. This was my favorite one. This is the looking down the slide picture. I just think it's unreal. So then I said, imagine it looking down from the sky. Well, I said looking down the sky. You can see I made a little typo there and took it kind of literally and made her floating in the sky, which is really weird, and that's not at all what I wanted. So I said, imagine this looking down from above. And there we go. Once again, it looks just like her. It got the pants, it got the feet, it added the little hand, everything. The details are all there. It looks like you took that same picture and flipped the camera and looked down from a drone. Now we're gonna look at scene relocations and putting people in different spaces. I took this one of her when we were walking to the beach one day, changed the background so it looks like a hotel pool. Perfect, there she is standing by the pool. You can see the little shadows under her feet on the ground. It got all those different details. This one came at Costco when we were signed up for a little charity work and changed the background so it looks like she's riding in a hot air balloon. Kind of a weird one. It didn't really do what I wanted. It doesn't look very realistic. It looks very fake and placed. All right, this one I said, change the background so it looks like they're riding on a dirt track, and there we go. Now we get the dust trails getting kicked up behind them. We got the shadows, all the details that are correct there. And you can take this also, just so you know, and kick it onto a green screen. You can say change the background so it's a green screen, and now you can green screen it out and do whatever you want to. So if there's a particular background that you already have and it's not putting the image in there right, you can do it yourself. Change this image so it's a snowy day. And there we go. Now we got snow on the roof of the barn. We got snow on the house in the background. It looks like maybe a little ice on the pond there. Change it so there's a thunderstorm, and there we go. The clouds are rolling in. It looks like the pond got a little bigger. Maybe the rain's been filling it, and you can even see some wind kind of whipping across it. Replace the view out the windows with the Rocky Mountains. Keeps the interior pictures, changes the exterior pictures. Amazing, gets the perspective, the angles, all those details right. All right, showed you this one before, but extend the image on both sides to make it panoramic. And this one blew me away. I still cannot believe how it was able to know what those pieces of the picture would look like. This is the only image I gave it. All right, for this one, I said, take this photo and make it look like it's shot with a 40 style camera. So when I said make it look like a CCTV camera, and you can see it changed the focus a little bit, added the security feeds. Next, I'm gonna look at some artistic restyling so you can give an image the feel of a different genre. This one I said to apply a Studio Ghibli style, and you can see it really animated it and brought my daughter and Koa and her face and everything in there. The lights shining in gave it that little glow of the daylight twinkling through the dust in the air, and really updated it to have that Studio Ghibli style. This one I said to make her look like the Disney Pixar 3D animated character, and this was my first attempt with it, and it didn't really do what I wanted. It kind of made her sort of look like it, but it really was sort of bug-eyed and weird, and it wasn't giving me what I wanted. And that's when I decided, and this happens sometimes, by putting her in a different environment, it will update it and fix it differently. So this time I said, make her look like a Pixar Disney 3D animated character. She should be standing in a desert. Now, instead of trying to update that other picture, it actually recreated it and put it in this other environment. And suddenly it made the whole thing look like it's actually an animation. Whereas the left one, maybe like you look at her arms and they look like real kid arms, but her eyes look like animated eyes. And it's a weird blend. On the right-hand one, you can see everything is the animated character because it recreated it. So sometimes when you get stuck on these, if you move the environment instead of just leaving it stuck in the same thing and trying over and over again to get it to make that picture, tell it to put it somewhere else, and then it has to reimagine it, and that's when it can actually fix some of these things that are not going right in your original design. All right, this one is said to give the image a GTA 5 style, and you can see it did basically nothing. And I think what happened here is I've just got too much going on. There's too much in the background. There's too much going on with the people. It was confused. It didn't know how to handle all of it. So I went back and tried again and said, give me a GTA file with a simpler picture. And now it actually did it. It took that standout one and you can see it changed it to look like an animated face, like an animated body. This one I said, give this image a watercolor style, and it did okay. It kind of watercolored it up a little bit. It definitely looks a little different. This is us riding a coaster at Disney, but you know, not too bad. I think this is something you could get with Photoshop. I wasn't overly impressed with this one. Apply vintage propaganda poster look to this. This I thought it did a great job with. It took it and really, made her look like a hand drawing, made the ice cream look like a hand drawing. Sweet Victory, Building a Tastier Tomorrow. Those are all things that it came up with on their own. I didn't tell it to make any of that stuff. That was its own ideas. Make only the doghouse look like it was drawn in crayons. Not bad. It definitely looks hand-drawn. I was looking for something a little rougher. I tried a few times. It kept getting it very precise. I wanted it to really look like it was a kid drawing with crayons. For whatever reason, it tried to keep it very literal, and I couldn't get it to do that. But this one, make the yellow bird look like a 1950s Disney, it nailed it. That looks just like an animated bird out of an old Disney cartoon, and it took Woodstock and transformed it. I did the same thing here with Snoopy, make the white dog look like a 90s style hand-drawn 2D cartoon. It kind of missed his nose and his mouth looks a little bit funny, but overall, pretty darn good. Make this glass of beer look like Japanese anime. You can see the person in the background, you can see the taps, the blurriness, the straws, all the details in the background are there, but the glass itself looks like it's hand-drawn and animated. Now we'll look at marketing and branding. Really practical applications that a lot of people can use. Create sample embossed business cards using this logo. Look at that. It got the perspective. You can see the detail, the little shadows from a raised, embossed, imprinted business card. And I told it to put it on a Hydro Flask. And there you go. Wrapped it around a Hydro Flask, put it in a nice mock-up product placement. Make a movie poster from that old picture of me with the cowboy. And there we go. The Last Rancher, a man, a promise, a legacy. It took the context of me in that outfit and said, okay, if I'm making a movie poster, this is what it should be about. Take this picture of my son, make him Time Magazine's Man of the Year. Did okay. You know, the magazine, the text is a little hard to read because it used all image in the background and it even kept the image outside of the boundaries. So I decided to try a little more and see if I could do it up. Put him on the cover of Time Magazine's Man of the Year. Well, now at least it got the border and the outside white for it, but it still kept that image as the entire backdrop, and I wasn't a big fan of that. I thought it would be a little smarter. Make a wanted poster using that image that I had from the South Park style, and this one's fantastic. John, flower shirt, dough, disturbing the peace, last seen near a saloon. Create a website landing page for this brand. Now, I didn't tell it anything about the brand. I just gave it the picture. It decided that was BullGuard. It decided it was some sort of, VPN or type protection for cloud things. But you can see it made a nice little mock-up and I could change things where I wanted to, and I could use this to create ideas of what should I make a landing page for my business look like. Swap out the graphics on the billboard in the first image for an ad promoting the movie in the second image. All right, and so it took that billboard picture and I put my rancher picture up there and created that image. Now I will say that the perspectives are a little off once again because that second picture, it used the perspective from the rancher picture. But once again, that's the advantage if you do wanna go in and use OpenArt because it's gonna let you pick the aspect ratio of your final picture. Right now, I'm just doing it by default. And when I do it by default, it does it the same way Nano Banana normally does it when you're using Gemini and uses the second picture. But you can force it to actually fit it within the constraints you want when you're in OpenArt. Then this one I showed before, Take that logo from the first image of the shirt, put it on the second one, and wow, looks exactly like her. The hair, the bandanas, everything. She's just suddenly wearing the logo from my old crypto channel. Put that logo from the first image in the middle of the hat on the second image and keep the shadows. And it did a pretty darn good job. You can see some shadows on there. It didn't really center the logo how I wanted. I wanted a little more centered, but it did put the logo on there. It did take the Long Beach off there. So suddenly I have a picture of old school Snoop wearing my logo. Replace the logo on the building with the one in the first image. Impressive again. Look how it put it in there in that little bubble and dome and gave it the gloss and the curve around the logo. It really looks like I've replaced that old famous Burger King ad now with my crypto logo. So now we need to get into product design and advertising. This is where we make new products. Call this product Crypto Beer and create a mock-up can for it. Takes my logo, makes the India Pale Ale, gives it the nice little fade from top to bottom of the colors. Now we're gonna take that can and we're gonna make an advertisement of people drinking it around a barbecue. And there we go. Everybody's holding on to my crypto beer and they're drinking crypto beer at the party. And you can see some of the cans are turned one way, turned the other way. They're not all straight to the front. It's smart enough to know to give it some variation and perspective so that it doesn't look unnatural. It really looks like people enjoying it. Then I said, show an influencer promoting the product, and it created this girl, and it knew enough to put a graph in the background for my crypto beer, so it looks like somebody's trading, but there she is holding it, pointing to it. Great looking picture. Once again, to try to take a photo like that, to go in, it's gonna be a full studio set. You're gonna have to get the lighting right. You're gonna have to hire the influencer. You're gonna have to get the makeup and all that done. Instead, 5 seconds, you got it done with AI. Now show a bottle, 6-pack, 12-pack of that beer. And now there we go. It's put the logo on there. Look how it folded it on the side of the box and made that little seam go right up it. It put it on the other box. It put it on the bottle there, and it created all the reflections off the bottle. So it really looks like my beer has now been photographed like that. It's come to life. And then I said to create a seasonal varietal for the beer. And I didn't give any real details about the seasonal varietal, but it came up with this one, which is the pumpkin spice. And it changed the little dots that were around my logo into the little maple looking leaves and the little curlies and gave it the orange style. So it really rebranded it. And I could have been more detailed. I could have said it's a winter varietal with this brand name, and it would have come up with that. So if you want to play around with it and see, what could I do if I make different variations on something, you can just stick it into Nano Banana, give it the picture to start from, and it will make you tons and tons of variations. You can also modify the existing one. I wanted to change the table. I didn't really like that plain white table. I said to give me a marble table, and it did, but that wasn't the marble that I was looking for, so I said a dark marble, and suddenly now that's it. That's that deep dark marble that I was really looking for. And then I took this picture from a brewery, and I said, show an exploded view of this beer making equipment. And this is another one that actually amazed me. This almost made my top 10, because if you look at this, it named all the different things correctly. That is a heat exchanger. That is a mash tin. That is a fermenter. Now call that a mash tun. Sometimes it does that. Sometimes it gets a letter off here and there and you might have to modify it. But for it to be able to recognize what those were from the picture and label them correctly, what a huge jump start that is for you. All right, then I wanted to add some action to it. So I said, show the bottle in the front popped open with beer shooting out. And it made the beer shoot out a little bit weird out of the bottle. Almost looks like it's landing on it more than shooting. You can see it's still got the cap on there, so it doesn't look like it's open. So it kind of got going, but it kind of missed it. So try it again. This time I said, show the bottle in the front popped open with beer shooting out of the mouth. And this one is better. The beer is shooting out of the mouth of the bottle. It's kind of doing a weird arc that I wasn't a fan of. Now I said, show the bottle in the front popped open with beer shooting out of the mouth up towards the ceiling to get the angle that I wanted. Once again, it looks more like beer dropping down from the ceiling to me. It kept that cap on it. I wasn't having a whole lot of luck with this. This is one of those tricky ones that I just couldn't seem to get it to do right, but I'm sure if I'd have kept playing with it, I could have got it. You just have to get more and more specific. And that's one of those use cases where it's really nice to take that picture, stick it into ChatGPT, tell it what's happening, tell it what's going wrong, ask it to write a prompt. It's gonna write these long, detailed prompts, way longer than anything I use, but have a habit of actually working when you put them back into Nano. This one I said to combine the two different ones and make an advertisement, and there we go. It came up with taste the blockchain, embrace the harvest. It put both different ones in there. Even gave me a little QR code and called it Crypto Beer, gave me a website, put all that together. But that's a really great way to make a mock-up product placement with multiple different things you bring together into one image. Now we're moving on to home and interior and landscape design. So if you're a landscaper or if you're an interior designer, there's some really cool things you can do with Nano. Here's one where I just had to add a row of hedges around the front of the house, and it put those hedges on there. Obviously I could have given it a picture of the hedges and told it to make it look like these types of hedges and it would have done it. But notice it, it added the dirt that the hedges would be in, and it cleaned that up so that it really looks like those hedges are there. It doesn't look like somebody just stuck them in fakely. This one I said to change it to a curved pool with a waterfall. Adds the waterfall, adds the curved pool. Not what I was looking for. I wanted more of a, an actual curved shape, like a, bean-shaped pool or something in there. So I went with it and picked this pool out, and I said replace the pool in the first image with the one from the second. And it did better here. The second one is a little more curvy. It's still keeping that hedge line real straight there. It did put the other waterfall in it. It even added some people that are sitting there. I'm not sure that they really fit right. For the size of those doors, they look like they're probably about 2 feet tall. So the perspective on it was a little bit off, but kind of a neat add-on there. Then this one I said to change the wallpaper in image 1 to the print in image 2. Because of the sizing, it didn't expand it and fill it. It repeated that image, and that made it look a little weird. It's got that weird, seam above the dog's head there, but you can see it really did take that wallpaper and stick it on the backdrop. So if you have a cool wallpaper in your house, or if you have a wall in your house and you want to see what it would look like with a wallpaper, with a color, or with a different style, you can just stick it into Nano and you can sit there and try over and over and over again, and you're gonna get to see what it would look like with these other things done in just a few seconds. Place the wood flooring in the image with the marble in image 2. Did a good job, didn't do a great job. You can see around the staircase, there's some areas that it missed. I don't really love the angle that it picked for the tile. I don't know that anyone would put it at that angle. So some of it looked a little bit off. So I went back and tried again because I really wanted to get it to fill the whole image. And I said, replace the wood flooring in image 1 with marble from 2. Make sure it fills the entire room, including around the staircase. Now it did better this time. It definitely filled in more of it, and it made them square. It got the right directionality for the tile, which looked good, but it wasn't getting what I meant to put it in front of the staircase and cover all the wood flooring. So I moved on to this one where I said place the couch from image 2 into the living room for image 1. And it did a great job here. Now you can see what would this couch look like in my living room. Notice there's the little shadows sitting right below the couch on the floor. So it really looks like that couch is actually sitting in that living room. And here I said update the cabinets in image 1 to a light colored wood grain if you're thinking about changing your cabinets. Now I intentionally gave this a really crappy picture. That is a very low resolution picture on the left. I wanted to see what it could do with it, and it nailed it. You can see all the cabinets still look the same, the curvatures, the lights, the reflections, but suddenly you've gone from that dark blue to that light wood color. Then this one, replace the square window in image 1 with the round window like image 2, and it nails it. Notice the square window, you can see out behind it, there's little trees that are vertical there, looks like wintertime and the leaves have fallen, but there's the trees. In the top circular image, it's just kind of a hillside maybe and some sky. Well, not only did it bring the image across there, but it kept the right background. It understood what was supposed to be out that window and kept that the same, just adding the other shape of the window. For this one, I said to turn this into a twilight golden hour photo shot. So if you're a realtor and you've got a picture of a home and you want to make it look better, boom, here you go. Now it's cleaned up. It looks like it's a much prettier shot. You get the sunset in there. And notice on the first one, all the lights around the house, they're off. On the second one, the exterior lights have been turned on. It was smart enough to know that if we change the hour and the time, we also should put those lights on, because at this time of night, somebody's probably gonna have their exterior lights starting to turn on. I thought that was really impressive, that it was smart enough to infer that from a simple prompt like this. Okay, now we need to move on to travel and landmarks and mapping. This one I said to annotate the city skyline from this photo of New York. And it got a little weird. It tried. I don't know that those two are Battery Park. I think that is the Hudson Center. That's the Hudson River, although it's pointing to a boat, and that sailboat sign is pointing up to some building. So this one, it kind of did some weird things to it. I'm not really sure. I think it had trouble reading some of the perspectives and the places on there, but it tried. So I tried again with another annotate, and I said add AR style callouts to this photo of a football game, labeling the quarterback and wide receiver. Now I did this intentionally as a little bit of a trick to see what it would do. If you notice that picture, there's no wide receiver in it. You get the 5 offensive linemen, the quarterback, and the running back standing there, but the wide receivers are outside of the picture. When it recreated it, look at that. It put number 88 there on the left. Close, 88's actually a tight end for the Packers, but Or was at this time. That's back when Aaron Rodgers was our quarterback. But anyway, it added an extra player in there because it realized, hey, there's no wide receiver in this picture. In order to label a wide receiver, I need one in there. So I thought that was impressive that it was smart enough to realize none of those players are a wide receiver. We need to add one in there, and then to add one in there that looks so natural in the picture. Next up, I said show a ground level view from the red arrow in this aerial photo of Lambeau perspective. So I want to give me what it would look like if I was standing there looking in the direction of the red arrow. Now, it definitely got it right. That's the correct end zone. That's the correct scoreboard, but it doesn't really look like from where that arrow was. I wanted it like, imagine you're standing there looking from that arrow forward. So I went back and tried to show the first person view from the red arrow perspective in this photo of Lambeau Field. Now it definitely got down there onto the field level and it looks in that direction, although I will say the lines on the sideline are turned the wrong way. So once again, not perfect. It's got it better, but it's still missing some elements of it, not quite getting it right. Turn this photo of the Eiffel Tower into a vintage postcard, stylized text, greetings from Kings Island. And there it is, greetings from Kings Island. It changed the imaging, put the little white background on there, makes it look like a little postcard. You can make a cute post for Instagram, cute post for Facebook, something from your trip. This is an open one where I told it to just make a before and after split of Times Square from the 20s and the modern one. And I was actually hoping it was gonna seam it down the middle and make it look like half and half. It instead just gave me part of the image from the modern and part of the image from the old one, which is literally what I asked it, but not a bad one. This one I said to render the Colosseum in Rome as an isometric illustration with clean geometric style. I figured it already knows what the Colosseum looks like, and sure enough it did. It created, a 3D looking model. And once again, when we get into doing some of the video, there's awesome things that you can do by using things like this. You can take this picture and a modern picture and have it look like someone's taking the modern picture and drawing up all the details over it. Cool stuff when we get into the video. Create a 3D style architectural model of the Sydney Opera House showing angles and layered details. It knows what the Opera House looks like. It created it. That looks like somebody's architectural model sitting on their table. And here we open it up so that you can see inside of it, and it peeled away certain parts of it. You can see some of the rows in there. You can see some of the rafters and the design of it. I have no idea if that's what it looks like. I've never been to Australia, but it sure looks like what I would guess it looks like. All right, now we're gonna move on to restoration and enhancement. So I wanna colorize this black and white photo. And I think that Nano does a better job colorizing than any other program I've ever seen out there. You can spend money and pay someone to colorize it, or you can colorize a black and white in seconds. Next, I'm gonna colorize this black and white photo and remove the watermarks. Now here's one thing that Nano stands out from ChatGPT. It colorized the photo, but it leaves the watermarks. No matter how many times I've tried to ask it to remove watermarks, Nano does not. If there's a watermark, it's gonna leave a watermark on there. That's just how it does it, which I actually think is really cool. If you wanna take them off, all you gotta do is stick it into ChatGPT and tell it to copy that image, make me a copy of that photo. It'll remake the copy of the photo. It removes the watermarks. One step colorized it, one step removed the watermarks. Now suddenly I've got the final photo colorized without watermarks. Anyway, if you're interested in that trick, I've got a whole video on how you remove watermarks. It's up here. Repair the damage and creases to that old picture. Pretty impressive. It cleaned it up. It took away all the graininess of it. It took away all the white spots where the creases were and imagined what it should look like, finished the fingers behind it. So it really looks like it was a good photo from an old beat up photo. Reduce the noise and grain from this photo. And I will say that it definitely reduced it. It didn't clean it up as much as it wanted. I tried a few different times, but it was also a really low resolution picture on the left that I was giving it. So I think it only had so much information to work with. Clean up this blurry out of focus picture, or really blurry when I gave it to see what it could do. A little bit better, not a lot better. I don't think it's really good at this part. I never, all the times I tried to get it to clean up blurry photos, I never had a whole lot of luck. I saw other people on the internet posting success with it. I don't know if they just had a 1 in a million success, because I must have tried a dozen different times getting it to clean up blurry photos, and it's never done it. It's never done it well. It just seems like something outside of the capacity. Upscale this photo to full resolution, and it definitely upscaled it, not a whole lot. It's not your upscaler. There are great programs out there that are just upscalers, and some of the newest ones do just phenomenal jobs. That's all they're made to do. If you want to upscale, use an upscaler. Now our final section, which is fun storytelling and creative ideas that you can come up with. Write the words Nano Banana, spelled out using bananas with a green screen background. And look at that. What a fun little thing. I can just green screen that out. I can put it over myself, put it on my thumbnail if I want to. I got all kinds of options, and it only takes a second to make that. I want a detailed action figure toy model after the picture in a colorful toy box, glossy plastic texture, professional toy photography. That's a ChatGPT prompt that I got because I wanted to see what it would come up with for me. I thought it did a really good job creating my cowboy Cole there, putting him in a box. It does look like his legs are a little cut off to me. I don't know how he would stand there. If he's got just short calves, you know, from the knee down, the perspective looks wrong. But overall, it's pretty impressive. This one I said, make a funny meme poster. With bold text reading Grumpy Guru Wanted, and a retro style, a parody, exaggerated face, all that different stuff. It took my shirt, it took my beard, my glasses, my hair, and turned me into the Grumpy Guru. You know, no smiles, just scowls, apply within, or don't. Kind of a little bit of humor in there. Really gave it that cool swirly background. Next, I took a picture of the four of us together here, and I said, create a cartoon style Christmas graphic. All of us riding in a sleigh, snow, and festive holidays. And there we go, Merry Christmas from our family to yours. And it's got the four of us, it's got my beard and everything, and Aaron's hair flying in the wind, and everybody riding in the sleigh together. Then for this one, I cropped out the other person in there. That's Aaron on the other side of me, but I cropped her out so that it would just have me to think about, and I said, give me a yearbook portrait imagining me back when I was in high school in the 80s with a neon windbreaker and a feathered hairdo and all those details. And it did a pretty darn good job. I mean, I'll be honest, that's not actually what I looked like when I was in high school, thank God. But, you know, it did a pretty good job of trying to roll me back in time and stick me into a 1980s yearbook. This one I thought was really cool too. Behind the scenes movie set version of that forest scene with boom mics and cameras and a crew there. And look how it kept them there. It imagined more trees and more background around it. They're in the same body positions they're in the picture. You know, Hanu still has that football. It's tucked behind his sister's head in the second picture. But now you've got all the lights and the cameras, and it looks like they're in a movie set, like someone is recording them in a movie set. Just added all that extra stuff in. All right, guys, and that is it. That is 153 different amazing prompts and amazing ways that you can do work with Nano Banana. If you've made it this far, please hit the like button. You obviously learned something. And if you made it this far, you ought to subscribe, because I'm telling you, this video that I'm working on how to take these different still images and create amazing videos using the newest models, it's gonna blow you away. The stuff that you're gonna be able to do with it, you're gonna be amazed. This is stuff that used to take After Effects wizard engineers to make, and now you're gonna be able to make it in just minutes using AI. So follow the channel. I'm gonna show you great tips. I'm gonna keep showing you cool ways to use AI in your daily life that can make things more useful. And as soon as I finish that video up on how to incorporate Nano Banana with video AI, I'm gonna put a link to it right here. So if that's up, you wanna click on this, because you're not gonna believe what you can do with video now.